9:08 on Friday morning's OTB AM, brought to you with Gillette in association with Movember Effortless Shave, Magnificent Mo. You can sign up or donate now at Movember.com. Speaking of Magnificent Mo's, Michael Burton joins us in studio. Michael, how are you?
Very good. How are you, lads?
That's some effort. That moustache is. I haven't properly committed to it yet this year. It's probably cheating to shave it off now and leave the moustache, but you've actually had a proper effort.
I actually grew this from last year, so I started last year and grew it the whole year.
Still counts.
With the mullet. So I did the mullet mustache combo. So
It's not one of these like pictures that has been recently relayed. This is like depth to it.
Oh yeah, girthy like.
Girthy.
Yeah. For anyone unfamiliar with your story, Michael, tell us what you've done, because it was
a hell of a way to start the show, but talk about his moustache.
Sorry, I couldn't ignore the moustache in the room. But
that's better again. That's better again.
We said sorry. We 32 Ironman, half-Ironmans in
32 half-Ironman. So the 70.3 ones in a row. So I started on the 31st of August and I finished on the 1st of October.
Lunatic was the word you used, Johnny, during the outbreak?
In a very endearing way.
Lunatic in an endearing way. Did you feel like a lunatic at any point during it, or are you thinking, why am I doing this?
There was a day where I got 4 punctures in a row. I was in Kilkenny and my phone broke. It was lashing rain, like torrential rain, and I started at 8 in the morning and I don't think I finished till 8:30 in the evening, and my girlfriend had to drive down from Dublin with another phone for me because I couldn't even navigate to go to the next place, and I was literally sat behind my car, in a crowded car park, sat with a pack of donuts and a Muju, and just I want to go home. I just want this to be over. But
for people unfamiliar with the half, so what are the distances and disciplines in a half?
Yeah, so it's a 1.9k swim, a 90k cycle, and then a half marathon. So 21k's.
So how long would that ordinarily how long was it taking you on average?
Somewhere in the region, probably between 6.5 and 7.5 hours usually. But that was, I think the quickest one I did was a 35-minute swim, 2.5 hour bike, and then an hour 45-minute run.
I mean, you're a cyclist, keen cyclist, Johnny. That's some decent times, considering what's going on, and your body's probably screaming at you.
How did you get 4 punctures in a day as well? I thought that was a hell of an achievement.
Don't even talk to me
mentally that's just a killer.
And the day before I got a puncture was in the middle of nowhere in Waterford. I was like, what am I doing? I couldn't believe it. But anyway, look, it happens.
So it was between day 4 and 7 you were having problems with your knee as well, which didn't make it easy.
Yeah, so between day 4 and 7 I made a big mistake in doing going indoors in the gym and trying to do it on a watt bike. But indoors you just get super was and that just causes all sort of skin problems. So that was a big mistake. But my right knee and my was all blown up, I suppose, and I couldn't straighten my leg or anything. So I was hobbling around trying to get the run done for that time. But then it kind of just went away. But then my feet were just all cut up as well. So
what percentage of it is mental and what percentage is physical in your point of view? Was it tough mentally, really tough mentally, or would you say it was more of a physical challenge?
Well, I'd listened to a podcast with the Iron Cowboy guy. Rick Rolls did a podcast with him, and he's just said, no matter what was going on, your mom was like, this is great. So I just took that mindset into it. No matter what was happening, I was like, this is great. There were some days where I was
just keep swimming, Finding Dory. Yeah.
I was just keep going, and just put one foot in front of the other. But
there he is.
There's a photo of you on screen as well. Yeah,
that was. I literally just came off the bike 2 hours before that.
The legs. So I can only speak from having done a very miniature triathlete where the distances were minuscule in comparison to what you've done, and it was one day as opposed to a multitude of days in a row. Your legs must have been jelly coming off the bike.
In a jocker, yeah. You get used to it. So I didn't have a great lead up into it the month before because I'd done an Ironman, and then I was kind of a bit injured or just wasn't feeling great. So I had to use the first kind of 10 days as kind of training for the rest of it, and just was really, really slow and steady. But yeah, that picture, I'd literally fallen off the bike 2 hours before, came off 40 kilometres an hour, ripped up my hands.
How did you have the crash actually?
We have a photo of your injuries up on screen there.
Still smiling though, look at that.
How are you still smiling after that? I mean, the burn off the road must have been horrific.
Yeah, I was with a friend and his wheel buckled, and I was looking back trying to see what was going on. We were in a kind of like behind, pretty much behind each other, and as I was looking back, I wasn't paying attention, and I hit a big massive curb, couldn't get my foot out of the cleat, and just ended up hitting the ground.
Oh jeez. You obviously have the cleats that your foot is stuck into.
Yeah.
Them. You probably use the same ones, Johnny.
Yeah, like I suppose people who don't cycle normally wouldn't know the difference that they make. But I'm wondering what muscles are consistent with the three sort of disciplines, or like, you know, what muscles were particularly either hard as hell afterwards or were struggling through it.
So like my IT band, so like all up here from the cycling was just in bits.
Wow.
I remember going for a massage. I think it was like day 15 or something. Your mum was like, "This is crazy. Like your legs are just seized up." But just
Do it.
keep going.
Were you losing weight, gaining muscle? Like what happens to the body over?
I think I might have lost a kilo over the whole thing. Now that's probably good. Like you don't really want to be losing weight.
Yeah.
You really don't want to lose
What were you
weight.
eating?
Everything. Lots of muesli, lots of carbs, lots of
You
rice
must
pudding.
have you must have a good appetite when you get off when you finish the thing. First of all, like
It took a while to be able to eat, to be completely honest. Like,
Right.
I'm getting off. Like, I wouldn't be one for eating. And I had to stop taking gels as well. So, like, usually you would take gels all the time, but they just weren't not good for my stomach. Like, they were ripping me apart. So, I had to try. At the beginning, I was probably eating too much. And then as it went on, I was, like, kind of getting a grasp for what I could eat and when I could eat it and how that would work. But, yeah.
it's amazing. Like and you're probably working out as you go along what food is doing to your body, and you're trying to. It probably takes a week or two into it before you realise, right, this is what I should be doing. This is what I shouldn't be doing. Like you're learning what you're struggling with, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you kind of just, yeah. My girlfriend was a godsend, so it was like me, two bikes, a Ford Fiesta, and her. So fair play to her. Like,
But we were
Godsend,
talking
yeah.
about Ronan O'Gara earlier, like going all around the world in pursuit of whatever that ultimate dream is. But like the woman and family behind that you don't see, it really is so important.
as my nana calls her Saint Emily.
Yeah.
She's just like, this is great.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was similar with when we had Damien Brown in studio after he did his
Oh, yeah, I
Atlantic
listened to
Row
that,
from New York to go in, and like it's the same. You think of the support team that's behind it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, he's obviously doing the physical job of having to row across the North Atlantic.
Yeah.
But I mean, without the team and the support, it would be so difficult.
She's suffering too, like in another way, you know.
I know.
I remember one day she did like some of the runs with me, and like the weekend, I think she might have done like a 15k and then like a 13k. And on the Monday, she was like, "My legs are so sore." I was just looking at her like, "Are you for real? Like, your legs are sore. Like, this is day like 12."
Yeah, how do you think I feel? So it's 3 charities are benefiting from donations as well, Michael. So the Irish Cancer Society, I know that's a memory of your grandfather.
Yeah.
Jigsaw and Movember. So you were particularly, I suppose, wanting to highlight mental health, and that's why Movember, I suppose, came in.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose I kind of talked about it previously on other ones, but like mental health I think is so important, especially in young men. Like 3 out of 4 suicides in Ireland are young men. It's the leading cause of death between 15 and 29 year olds. So I think what Movember have been doing this month has been great. I've been going to some of their events. They've got a couple of events coming up this weekend. I think they're in a tattoo parlour tomorrow. Then they're doing like a hair dye, hair shave thing on Sunday. I'm actually speaking at an event with Sean O'Hara next Wednesday in Indigo and Cloth. That's at 7 p.m. So that's like a panel where we're going to talk about our kind of situations and how we felt and what that was like for us, I suppose, to give people an idea of kind of what we have been through and like what we did and what we put into place for that. So yeah, it's been really good. They have a comedy gig next week, so I think this month, especially for them, is class. And I'm trying to do as much as I can to kind of raise awareness for it.
I think it takes a certain type of almost like madness to pursue what you're doing, but the road from, I guess, barely being able to inspire yourself to actually inspiring others must be phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been class. It has been class. It's been class. Like even getting to come on here, I suppose the more I get
Again.
Yeah,
we had to bring you on after, to be fair.
Yeah.
Beforehand, you hadn't even done it.
Yeah. So
Mustache or no mustache?
Mustache, no. Well, I had the mustache then too. But no, it's great like getting to do this thing. I'm becoming more comfortable with it. Like I did a few talks last week for businesses during like Men's Mental Health Week and on International Men's Day and stuff like that. And the more I tell my story and the more I even go into the nitty gritty of it, the better it actually is for me. Even though
Like.
yeah, exactly. And I think the more you kind of reveal yourself in those situations, the more people get out of it. Well, I actually got that definitely from last week. Like, I did a talk with Salesforce, and like even the messages that I got from people requesting to like connect with me on LinkedIn was like, thank you so much for that. Like, and I suppose even for me, like people saying thank you to me for that is so great. Like, do you know what I mean? And going into schools as well, so trying to get young, because I know from when I was 14 to when I left school, I think when young lads, when young men especially leave school, they lose their schedule and their routine, and that's so important. And I only realised that even during the challenge, when I was actually talking to, after the challenge, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine, his mum, who's like a therapist, and she was saying, this is the biggest cause that I see, is that young men lose their routine, and that's where they're able to cope until that point, and then once they lose their routine, that's it. Like,
I felt that you weren't prepared at all for that, and it was even the shock of like going to college, and all of a sudden you're half on your own here now, and that structure is gone, and it's like all that kind of. My teacher always said to me, "These are the happiest days of your life. Remember that." And of course, he was right. At the time, you're thinking like, "Well, I don't want to get up for the next class."
Yeah,
but
that
then
puts a pressure on it too, doesn't it? When you're being told that these should be the happiest days of your life, and some people don't feel that way.
And it's when you leave that structure of school and that camaraderie. And I think in rural Ireland, this is a real thing. If you go out into a job, you get up in the morning, you're working with older people, you've lost your friends to an extent. I think there's a shock factor that can really literally kill people.
Yeah, for me, I was able to cope from 14 to 18 because the bell went at 11 and I ate. And I got up and I went to school, and the bell went at 1, I had lunch, and the bell went at whatever, and I went to study, or I played sport, or I went to the gym, whatever it was. The minute that went, that's where everything really started to crumble. Like, that's where it got so dark. And it's only in retrospect, and I didn't even cop that until literally a couple of months ago. So yeah, it's crazy.
So people who may be unfamiliar with your talks or haven't attended one yet, like that's a key point in them, is your college experience and your own mental health struggles, I guess, during that time, and
exactly,
having a lack of motivation to get through it.
Well, I completely let myself go. Like, I played like sport up until I was 17, and after that I went to the gym up until I kind of finished school, and literally once I finished school and went on my 6-year holiday, I don't think I played sport again till I was like 23. Like, I tried to play a bit of rugby here and there, but nothing at all. Like, I was huge, I was ballooned up. Like,
how important has sport been in helping you bounce back? I mean, and sport,
if you want to call it sport.
Well, no, but not even in the team sense, just what you're doing, and endurance. Endurance is the toughest sport discipline of all, no doubt. Yeah,
well, like, I suppose at the beginning of the pandemic, living in London with three other lads, like, just running, and it was just that, it was actually the competitiveness of trying to beat each other's time. Now, we weren't going very fast, like, it was 26-minute 5Ks, like, geez, like, that's pretty slow now for me, but at that time it was just getting up, and like that little change of that kind of being competitive even with your mates or whatever it was, changed it, and then it was just a snowball effect from there, just complete snowball effect, until I realised that sport was just an outlet. It wasn't actually fixing anything. So then I was like, all right, I've got so far, I've lost a lot of weight, I'm fit, I'm healthy, now actually let's deal with the real problems.
Unbelievable. Listen, Michael, your story's inspiring you. You've other talks coming up, you said?
Yeah, so Indico and Cloth next week with Sean O'Hara on Wednesday, and then I'm doing things with schools over the next while before I move away. So that's the plan, and then getting ready for the next challenge. So
brilliant. What's the next challenge again? You were talking about?
Yeah, so next.
I mean, you are mad.
Yeah, the next challenge is a 4,500 kilometer run over 45 days. So 100.
Lost me at the next challenge.
Yeah.
Sorry, you lost me at the maths. So divide that. That's 100 kilometres a day.
100 kilometres a day. So I'm going to go Dublin down around the coast to Galway, Galway across to Dublin, Dublin up around the coast to Galway, Galway back to Dublin.
This is, sorry, not even cycling, this is running.
This is running, yeah, because running was the hardest bit of the challenge.
Sorry, some people would set themselves a target of running 100 kilometres in 45 days and do it 4.5k a day. But you're doing 100 kilometres per day for 45 days.
Yeah.
That's mad. I mean, brilliant. It's brilliant. Like,
yeah,
that's on a level of toughness compared to the one you're after doing. Like, how does it?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Well, I know that.
I think it's going to be worse.
Running was the hardest bit. That's why I'm doing running. I was going to do a cycle around Ireland. So I was going to start in Malin, cycle around, finish in Malin, and then run the length, like a massive brick session. But then I was like, it's a bit too easy, so I'll just do the run.
Too easy, yeah.
Where's St. Emily going to be in all this? I mean, think of her.
Be on the road in the Ford Fiesta.
I think that Ford Fiesta will be gone by that stage, hopefully.
Well, listen, I have a Forrest Gump hat at the house. I can give it to you to borrow if you want for the
100%.
For the run as well.
Give it to me, yeah.
Brilliant. Listen, Michael, thanks a million for coming in, and
thank you very much.
Continuing to share the story.
Thank
no
you.
doubt when we have you back in, the moustache will be at another level again. It's very impressive, I have to say.